I've been making money online with the AI agency business model for years now, and I've been documenting the entire process since I was 16 years old directly on this YouTube channel. And in that time, I've been able to help thousands of people go from complete beginners to closing clients consistently every single month with charging $5,000 to even $10,000 upfront for their AI agency service. So obviously I know it works and I know it's just noise online. And in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the simplest way on how I would start an AI agency today without having to have any fancy tech skills or coding background and just a few $100 in the bank account to my name. And how I'd get my first client the smart way without wasting months on things that just don't work. So let's jump into it. But before we do, I wanna quickly get into my story on how this whole thing actually happened. So let's rewind back to 2022. And I was a 16-year-old at the time working at a golf course for like $15 an hour. And I was just looking at better ways to make money because honestly, I was getting so sick of pretty much breaking my back picking up golf balls at the golf range every single day for pretty much no pay. And while I was watching videos on YouTube, I stumbled across some online business videos where you could make money online and you could have all these methods of different ways of making money. And it completely changed my algorithm from watching a bunch of gaming content at the time to all this business content. And I got completely sucked in. I watched every single video I could find out there. I bought a bunch of online courses. I studied an insane amount of time into things like building websites, building automations, different business models that I just thought could actually work, like e-commerce stores and everything like that. And then eventually I tried one myself, and at the time it was a social media marketing agency, or an SMMA at the time. And at first I did pretty well. I started working with real estate agents and documenting my journey on this YouTube channel, which led me to being 17 years old, and I had made my first $100,000 profit at that time. And I don't say that lightly. It took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of failure, but I was able to actually see some success with it. But eventually I hit a wall, and it felt like it was just a race to the bottom. Everyone else was just doing the same exact thing that I was doing, and everyone was charging lower and lower and lower prices. And at that time is exactly when I discovered AI. I realized the businesses that I was working with had absolutely zero clue how to actually leverage artificial intelligence in their business. So I completely locked in on that one service and kept selling it over and over and over again. Fast forward to now, I've made over $1 million at the age of 19 leveraging this exact model. And that was the start of my story. And because you're watching this video right now, it might be the exact same thing for you, and this could be the start of your journey as well. And my goal here is to give you the no BS roadmap throughout this entire video that's going to be fairly long, breaking down exactly how I would start this business model of an AI agency today, because there's a ton of fluff out there online of things that quite frankly don't work, or people who don't run the business model they preach. And I'm here to show you exactly what I'm currently doing today. So hopefully in this video, I can actually save you from that. Without further ado, let's jump into it, and I hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys, so I've prepared a bunch of things that we're going to be covering inside of this video, pretty much A to Z on how to close your first client in the next 90 days. Or again, if you already have an agency, I think this stuff is going to be extremely valuable as you scale, okay? Because this guide I want to be pretty much serving from if you're at 0 all the way up to 10, 20, even maybe 30K a month on what you should be doing. So that being said, let's start with first, what are we going to cover inside of this video? So first thing is we're going to talk about what actually is the AI agency service. AI agency, it's a very common term, I think, now on YouTube, where people are, mix it up with AI automation, where you sell NAN systems or use Claude Code to sell to businesses. That is not what we're doing here. To be completely clear, I think that stuff is an absolute joke. Okay, I don't know why that's even blown up. I mean, I do. It's just a trend, but it's not actually going to make you any substantial money. And I know that because I've been doing this for years, okay? So what the actual AI agency services that I recommend that I still do today inside of my agency that you can charge 5, 10, even 20 grand plus for, okay? I charge my agency anywhere from 15 to 25 grand to clients I work with, which I'm gonna talk about in this video, okay? And that's upfront, all right? So that's completely upfront, you get that. Next is picking your niche, which is what is the actual industry of clients you're gonna be going after. I'm gonna go in depth on the best industries I recommend today as I'm filming this, kind of like almost few months into 2026. I think a lot of things have changed in the last like 6 to 12 months. And I'm going to tell you guys what I would do if I was starting from 0 today and what industry I'd go after. Next is crafting your offer and pricing. Extremely important you do this correctly because everyone is in different situations. So I'm going to talk about what I'd be pricing my service with and whatnot. Again, if I was starting from 0, GoHighLevel Setup, which is the main CRM that's going to hold your entire agency and business together, from the websites, the templates. I'm going to give you pretty much everything I use inside of my own agency inside of a full-on snapshot that you're going to get through watching this video completely for free. I don't charge for it, so you guys are going to get that there too. Methods to close clients. So actually, how do we book sales calls and how do we actually close clients, along with actually how to close these sales calls. So the sales skills, I recommend sales calls from my own agency. Going to go in depth on that, so you know how to actually conduct these calls. even if you've never taken a sales call before, because I was there once as well, and how to fulfill for your service, because that's ultimately the goal of what we do here, right? We want great results for clients that we work with, and that's kind of goes priority number one. So that's going to be what we cover today. That being said, let's start with first, what is the AI agency service and what is this whole model that I talk about? Okay, because I think it's very easy to get this confused with other business models. So we first want to look at what are gaps, inside of service-based businesses right now, whether it's local real estate agents, HVAC companies, any sort of businesses you probably drive by on the street, okay? Every business owner has their own problems and their own bottlenecks in their business. And that's where you want to start when you start a business, especially a service-based business, is how can we solve problems for business owners that is a recurring problem that I can charge consistently month after month for, and it's a problem that I can actually bring more revenue to their business. That's the key part, okay? Because then they become somewhat dependent on me, meaning they're probably not going to stop paying me. And that's the key with this model. So when we look at this gap, we see, number one is getting leads. Okay. Every business owner wants more leads. They want more potential customers. It doesn't matter if this is an HVAC company, a real estate agent, a solar company, a dentistry, a med spa, none of it matters. They all want more leads. Okay. So that's step one. Step two is getting appointments. Okay. So what does every business want after a lead? They want the appointment on their calendar, okay? They don't want to have to go chase this person who just opted in with their name, email, phone number, and then boom, now they have to go do the rest of the work and have to get them on the appointment, schedule it in, and then they actually have to take the appointment. We take that off of their hands using AI, which I'm going to get into in a minute. And then the third part is actually closing deals, okay? One thing you're going to find, especially, depending on the industry you go after, which I'm going to talk about what niche I recommend to go after in a minute, but especially local businesses, the business owners are 30, 40, I'd say 40, 50, 60-year-old plus that are actually fairly successful, at least a lot of them, and they have no clue how to use tech, and a lot of their sales processes are really bad. So we can actually come in and we can solve that problem. But long story short, if you can get these three things solved for a business, they make money. Okay. And when you help someone else make money, you want to make money in the process. Okay. Like there's a saying out there. It's like the fastest way to get rich is helping others get rich. And it's extremely true. Okay. You want to help other people with this gap and with these different needs and bottlenecks. Okay. So let's start with getting leads. Okay. If you don't know what a lead is and you're like where I was when I was 16 years old, I had no clue what anything in marketing terms was. Getting a lead is essentially getting a name, email, phone number, like a contact info of someone who's interested in a service or someone who's just opted in and raised their hand and essentially said, yes, I'm interested. Okay. That's what that is. So the first thing is look at this from like a real estate agent perspective. Okay. That's the niche I went after when I was 16 years old on this YouTube channel, what I started with. That's how when I was 17, I made my first about $100,000 profit liquid in the bank. I worked with real estate agents only. Okay. All documented. You guys can look at this on this channel. So if I use that industry and that niche, for example, let's say you were working with real estate agents, what do they want more of? They want more home buyers and home sellers that they can work with, and they can make a cut of commission off the home sale or the home purchase, right? So all that being said, we can solve this gap by running AI ads for them on Facebook and Instagram. That's going to generate leads. So the social media marketing, basic 101 stuff, it's been around forever. But the thing is AI has completely changed the game here, because now with AI, you can essentially speed run the creative process. Okay. Step two, which is getting appointments. You can use AI callers to actually set these leads into an appointment, like a sales call with your client. All right. Back in the day, marketing agencies used to charge $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month just for this. Okay. You can't get away with that anymore today. And I'll tell you that firsthand, because that's the model I ran. That's the model I literally did. Today, people expect a lot more. And if you can actually bridge the whole gap for them rather than just giving them like a brick, okay, you give them the whole bridge, they essentially, like I said, they're dependent on you. And we want to create a monopoly. All right. We want to create some sort of business that people it's really hard for them to cancel. Like it's very sticky. Okay. That's how you make a lot of money. So we can use a tool called Retail AI. All right. So if you go to Google, you look up this tool called Retail AI. There is a full website you can check out. You can sign up on. It's only 12 cents per minute of talk time it actually has. And it's extremely good. Okay. And I was actually at their headquarters down in San Francisco. I have a good relationship with the co-founders there. They have a great product. I think they're the best out there. And hands down, you don't even know how to code to do this stuff. Okay. Like you could do this all without needing to know how to code, which is amazing. And again, you can set this up. The whole point is you're going to set this up for your clients alongside running these ads on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm going to talk about actually how to set up these ads in this video. And then last, which is closing deals. Okay. So we've done pretty much everything from getting the interested lead or customer, getting them booked on our client's calendar. And then now, of course, our client needs to take this call and close the deal. We can help with whatever we can to close this deal. I kind of recommend this third step is optional. Only reason I say this is because, if you've not been a roofer before and you're trying to consult roofers on how to close deals, sometimes that might be like you just don't have the confidence to do so, or you just have no clue what you're talking about. So maybe give it some time, maybe close some more clients before you kind of really work on this part. But what I will say is you're going to find a lot of local businesses have a terrible sales process, okay? And they just do. Like you would think these business owners who have been around for 10, 20 years, like have this crazy thought out, amazing sales script and process. A lot of them don't even have a sales script that they follow. Okay. And if they do, it's in their head and it's probably pretty bad. All right. And that's why you can even listen to their calls, give them advice, and you're like almost a consultant to them, which is really, really important because then they look up to you. And then boom, that relates to one thing, which is making more money for your customers. Okay. So that's the old offer and simple. All right. So if I had to say two things real quick, what are the two key things in the AI agency office offer and service that we do? It is number one, running ads on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. We're going to use AI to make these ads, whether it's image ads, it's video ads. I'm going to show you in this video how to do that. All right. Literally, you can make video ads with AI today, completely all AI. All right. And then the second thing is going to be setting up AI callers. AI voice receptionists that you can even sell as like front desk members, right? Think of the future. Do you think you're going to go through drive-thrus and it's going to be a human that takes your order in 10 years? No, of course not. It's going to be all AI, all right? And the big businesses are already transferring this stuff, and they're already kind of making that big switch. If you call apple.com, to get your phone fixed or whatever, I did a few months ago, it was an AI and it didn't even sound like AI. They sound like humans, the AI, it's crazy. And essentially it's support, it's support help, and it's stuff that call centers and front desk people are just going to get removed from because AI can do the job better and they don't need any days off, etc. All right. And this whole offer, we're going to get to pricing in a minute. You can ideally charge anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for upfront initially. Okay, for like a 90-day long service. And this is the big difference between other business models out there. Everyone else on YouTube tells you to go sell this $200 website, $100 website. Like, as someone who has been documenting everything from zero since I was 16 on this channel, I've seen all the models come out. I've seen all the new business models. I've seen everyone talk about all these things. And myself, I post on YouTube. I see all the other YouTubers as well that talk about all these AI business models. A lot of it's crap, okay? How many people do you have to sell to make any substantial money with a $200 website, okay? Regardless if AI makes the website or not, think about that. Think how hard it is to sell 100 people rather than just one person a better, more exclusive, higher quality service that you charge more for. Okay, it's so much easier. And that's what people miss. Okay, and that's why this model is extremely good. Okay, whole point, you're gonna run ads for them on Facebook and Instagram, generate leads, and then set AI callers up to call these leads within them, like 5 minutes of them opting in, and then live book them, qualify them onto your client's calendar. Okay, that is the service. So, which leads me to my next point, which is picking your niche. All right, what niche should you go after, Carson? I have no clue. I have no experience, blah, blah, blah. Let's jump into it. All right. So the first thing I'll say is there are two different buckets of niches to go after. I like to say there's blue ocean markets and then there's red ocean markets. So what blue ocean markets are is like industries that are low competition, but high risk, high reward. All right. Think of like carpet cleaners or pool builders or like dog breeders, like there's all these little like random one-off businesses, fencing companies, okay? Like that you don't think of that come top of mind, or they don't come top of mind, but they're actually really lucrative because no one's in them. There's no other agencies like us offering the services we are to these type of people. And if you have some experience in an industry where you think it's kind of like a blue ocean market, then that could be extremely lucrative, because there's low competition, but it's high risk, high reward. I always say that there's less proof of concept. People have a huge notion in their head around, oh, am I going into a saturated market, right? Is real estate agents, are they saturated? Are roofers saturated? Are med spas saturated? The answer is no, okay? There's hundreds of thousands and millions of these business owners in the United States alone, okay? And these big sort of red ocean markets, which is just the opposite of this, saturated niches, lower risk, but still good reward, right? It just means it's proven, okay? That's all a red ocean market really means, or a red ocean niche. And I don't look at this saturated like, oh, just because there's, a bunch of agencies competing for real estate agents means I can't get results. Not true at all, okay? I said the same thing when I was starting out, when I was 16. I'm like, shoot, did I choose an industry where there's all these competition, there's all these agencies, I have no chance. No, I still ran up a huge bag in there, all right? And I got clients pretty good results, Of course, not every client gets results. That's kind of a part of a service-based business, but a lot of clients did, okay? And it was overall that was where I got my foot wet, kind of in this whole online business stuff. And that's where I made a name for myself initially, because it's all documented on the channel. So red ocean markets, I'm going to go through a huge list of industries here in a second, but it's important that I want to start with this first. Stick in the niche that you choose for at least 3 to 6 months and start with what you know. All right. If you're watching this video and you think that this is something where you're going to make 10K a month in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're not. All right. I'm going to say this very straight up. And if I can be the one person on YouTube to give you realistic expectations, then great, because that's the reality. This stuff takes time, okay? I went my first 6 months on this YouTube channel with 0 clients, 0 sales calls, and 0 anything. I had nothing to show for it. And I was putting in many hours every single day for 6 straight months, But by month 8, boom, 3 clients. Month 9, 4 clients. By month 12, I was already making 10K a month. Okay, and I think it was actually more like month 10 or 11. So it was just like this snowball that took a lot of time. And there's a saying, when it rains, it pours. And I 100% agree. Once you close that first client or 2, it feels like everything is just happening together. Like you just close a bunch of clients right after you close that first client. But the problem is most people in this whole online business space get stuck up with getting rich quick. And it's not going to happen. Okay, I want to be very clear when I say that. Okay, so stick in the industry that you choose for at least 3 to 6 months. And the reason I say this is because if you don't, you're essentially starting a new business every time you switch your industry. Think about it, right? Imagine you went from med spas to real estate agents to roofers to HVAC companies, all within the span of 3 months. What do you have to show for that? Okay, like really, think about this. Are you really going to make any progress with one industry? No. Okay. And also only choose one niche. This is also extremely important. Okay. The reason I say this is because if you try to go after 2 different industries at once, it's kind of like this saying, it's like trying to catch 2 rabbits at once. You're not going to catch any, and the whole point of this service with an AI agency is once you fulfill for one client, you can essentially duplicate and replicate that same fulfillment for all your other clients because they're in the same niche, in the same industry. The same ads to use if they work. You have the same process, the same reminders, automations, everything, okay, which I'm going to get later to in this video. So all that being said, stick with one niche. Stick with it for 3 to 6 months and don't get shiny object syndrome and think the grass is green on the other side. Okay, few little bit of criteria I look at when picking the industry. So number 1 is your TAM. So this means total addressable market. Okay, so this is like, how many businesses are potential businesses that I could work with within the country or, the area that I'm trying to work with, right? And my kind of rule of thumb is there needs to be at least 20,000 businesses within the country you go after. I recommend you go after US clients, even maybe Canada as well. I know there's probably some opportunity in Europe or UK. I just think, I'm biased because I grew up in the US, but I think US clients are just the best. They have the most money. And you normally want to pick 1 or 2 countries. Don't go more than that. Okay. Super important. Now, here's kind of a big list of different industries out there that you could choose. Some of these will be more the blue ocean markets. Some are the more red ocean markets, like I was saying. And there's no best industry. All right. I want to make sure that's very clear. Like med spas is not better than home care facilities. There's just different pros and cons, and that's the same thing with every industry. So look at these industries here. Think of, okay, what type of clients would I want to work with? Do I want to work with GLP-1 med spa, peptide clinics? All right, huge right now. Do I want to work with real estate agents? Okay, real estate loan officers, roofing companies, HVAC, lawyers, dentists, home care facilities. Home care facilities is something I don't see anyone in. Okay, and they make a lot of money. I know some people who own these. They make a ton of money, and they're recession proof, which is amazing. Think about when someone needs to come in, a new person needs to get placed in this home or whatever, in this home care facility, they pay thousands of dollars a month. So if you can get one client, what is the LTV on that if they stay there for 3 to 5 years? It's tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, So think about that. And there's all these other industries as well. Okay, and I also put kind of like a big list of things here where I have like easiest, medium, and then hardest in 3 different buckets where there's home service, professional services, and high ticket online businesses. All right, I don't want to spend too much time on picking the niche because I think you guys get my point here. But long story short, I think high ticket online businesses like consulting companies, info products, coaches, marketing agencies, just don't go after this bucket unless you've actually ran this business before. I just don't think it's personally worth it. But home service and professional services, I think are really, really good. Okay. Local businesses that have no clue how to use tech or AI today, those are the people we want to go after, ideally because they're already successful. And that means they can pay big sums for what we do. All right. So that's kind of concluding picking your niche. Hopefully you guys understand there's 2 different buckets here. Pick one, go after it. Choose and go all in. Do not try to get shiny object syndrome. Go, new niche every single week or every single month. You're not going to progress. All right. Just to be very straight up with you and follow this criteria I said right here. Okay. Make sure your market's big enough and go after a country ideally that has where clients have money, Cool. So that leads me to my next point, which is crafting your offer and pricing. All right. So there's kind of 3 big pricing models I look at with the AI agency model. There's retainers, there's performance, and then there's PIF, which is I'll kind of explain each of these. Retainers is monthly fees. So let's say I went to go charge a $2,000 retainer. That's probably, in other terms, that's like a $2,000 a month retainer. It's just monthly fees that you're charging a client. All right, you can go to people, you can charge retainers, and it's just money that you've got coming in every single month as long as they don't churn and you continuously fulfill. All right. Performance. Performance is like pay per result, pay per deal. There's different times and places that I think these make sense. And I'm going to talk about this in a second. But performance is like, let's say I wanted to work with a roofing company. My pricing model maybe could be like $200 per appointment I generate them on their calendar. So using the exact same process I talked about, you run ads for them, you set up the ad caller, it automatically calls all the leads, and then boom, books them into the appointment. I would charge $200 every single appointment I book the client. Doesn't matter if they close or they don't close. My job is just to book appointments. All right. That's pretty lucrative. Not my favorite. And then this third is my favorite, which is PIFs. Okay. PIFs is kind of in short for pay in full. So for example, I charge a $5,000 PIF. Let's say, I PIF someone for $5,000. You heard that a lot in like the closing sales community. That just means I made someone pay the full amount upfront, whether it's a 90-day long agreement, whatever they paid, the client paid the full, 5,000, 10,000, whatever the amount is, upfront on that first initial sales call. Okay. So that's what they are. Now, and I'll kind of recommend what pricing models you guys should go after based on your situation. It's very situational what you guys should actually be charging. And it also depends a little bit on your industry and your niche that you go after. But the offer outline is very simple. I think 3 months is great to start with. Now, there are exceptions to this. I will say, when I was in real estate agents and I worked with real estate agents, my agreements went from 3 months to 6 month long agreements. And the reason I did this is because think about your client's sales cycle. Okay. So if you work with a medical clinic, which is where I'm heavily, in my agency at today, I work with stem cell clinics, which it's very niche, but that's the point. Okay. And not a lot of people can compete with me just because it's a very expensive niche to go after. And I have funds, of course, to help these people, but I charge 15 grand to 25 grand up front. All right. There's many sales calls on my YouTube channel that I'll get into later in this video on how I do this. Okay. I'm very, I want to say smart about how I do it. And I charge more than anyone else because my service is better, but that being said, 3 month long agreements make sense for me because if I can generate a patient or an appointment for my client, the sales cycle is like 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks. It's not too long. But if I work with a real estate agent, think about their clientele. It's home buyers, it's home sellers. What does that mean? That means this is someone making the biggest financial decision of their entire life. All right. And the reason that's important to know is because if you generate all these leads and all these appointments for your clients, they won't see a return, an actual, like a bank account that they can be like, I've made money through your service based on their sales cycle. It's going to all be timeline based, and for real estate agents, it could be months, if not years for these people to want to buy or sell their home, finalize it, all the legal agreements, etc. It's very important to note that. So make your offer, in my opinion, 3 months is perfect. It's the sweet spot. But if you're in an industry, like I'd say real estate is kind of like the outlier, where sales cycles are super long for your clients, then maybe go longer than 3 months. All right. But this is kind of like the basic offer outline. 3 months, $5,000 up front covers the 3 months. You can do paid ads plus the AI caller build out, and then client always pays ad spend separate. So paid ads is, of course, like I said, it's where you run ads for your clients and get leads on social media, Facebook and Instagram. That costs money every single day. Okay. So, this is also going to depend on your industry of clients you work with on how much you should be recommending them to spend. So when I worked with real estate agents, I try to push for $50 a day. I wanted them to spend $50 a day, and that is completely separate to the amount that I charge. All right. That's out of their pocket. I don't touch that money. That money goes straight to Facebook and Meta. But if you work with very high-end clients like I do, I require my clients today to spend $200 a day on ads, all right? Because the more money you spend on ads and the more your clients spend on ads, the more likely they are to see results with your service because it's all a data game, which I'll get into when I talk about ads in this video. But the more money you spend on ads, the faster you're probably going to see results. There's an example where if your client spends $10 a day on ads, and then, you have another client that spends $100 a day on ads, it's going to take 10 days on that $10 a day campaign to just match the exact same amount of data and leads and results as that $100 a day, person in just one day. Imagine if it had like the same ads and same everything, right? It's all a data game. So you should recommend your clients anywhere from ideally $20 to $100 a day, inside that range. All right. Now, here's some check boxes I recommend based on, like what you should be charging. All right. There's some check boxes I like to go through. So I want you to do some self reflection right here. All right. And this goes for all of you guys. I think this is extremely helpful that I have kind of talked about a lot of people inside of my mastermind group and people that I mentor. I go through this here because this is extremely important thing to consider. You know, like I can't recommend everyone to go start charging 10 grand tomorrow. You know, like a lot of people aren't going to have the confidence to go do that, including myself. You know, I didn't have the confidence to go do that. So I want you to, as you're watching this video, reflect on this right now. Do you have sales experience? Number one. Okay. Number two, do you have experience within the niche in the industry that you're going to go after? All right. That's checkbox number two. Number three, are you confident? All right. I know that's like a very broad kind of term, but that's important to note. Four, do you look above 20 years old? I can tell you when I started, you guys can go back on my channel to check this. I did not look 20 years old. I still probably don't even right now because I'm not, I'm 19. But do you look above 20 years old? Because age bias is a big thing. Number five, do you have good English? And number six, do you talk mature? All these check boxes you need to take into consideration. And if you have my idea is if you have at least three of these, you should be charging $3,000 to $5,000 up front. Okay. If you have at least three of these, right? So, do it yourself. You guys can kind of do some self-reflection. You should be doing the PIF model if you have at least three of these checkbox. All right. If you have two of these, you can do retainers. All right. And then if you have none of these, or if you have one of these, then I think you should do the trial with upfront fee model. And this is what I started with in my channel. I'll talk about how I did this. And this is all dependent on getting you the best results within the quickest time frame. Because if you went to people and you had none of these boxes checked, you were none of these, and you went to go charge 15 grand up front, 10 grand up front, and you didn't have any of these boxes checked, the odds of you closing deals on sales calls are very low, to be honest. All right. You're probably going to close at a 3%. All right. Our closers in my agency, we aim for about 30 to 35%. So you could do the math on how different that is. Okay. So let's go over different pricing models and different examples. If you check three of these boxes, I think you should do the PIF model. And the PIF model is you're going to start your pricing out in your service for your AI agency for anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, which is just ads plus the AI caller, 3 to 5K up front. You're going to push for this full amount on the sales call with clients. And again, I'm going to talk about in this video how you should actually be booking sales calls. Client pays X per day in ad spend for 3 months long. This is something for you to choose. Can't really decide this for you. Again, you could, if you're working with real estate agents, it could be $30 to $50 a day. If it's roofers, it could be the same. If it's high-end lawyers or medical clinics, it could be $100 a day plus, all within your own. Just you should ask the client how much they have set aside for a marketing budget, and you'll see you'll kind of get a pulse on what is better as you work with more clients on what to recommend them. But you can really recommend them whatever is ideally within their budget. Okay. If you only check two of these boxes, retainers, which means you jump on the call and you say, look, we just charge $1,000 to $2,000 a month. The reason this is important and the reason retainers is a big difference than PIF is because it's easier to sell a lot of the time. Okay. And the reason this is because it is less money upfront for the client. Instead of paying $5,000 upfront, they might just pay $1,000 or $2,000, and it's per month. And it also gives them the opportunity, even if they sign agreements, even if all that stuff, they can get out after month one. Even if they paid you only once and they don't pay the rest of the agreement, and you sign an agreement with them in a contract, they can still get out of it. All right, I've been through the ringer enough to say that it's just less commitment up front, and if you're not as good at sales and you don't look as presentable, this is probably an easier one to sell. It's pretty much the same exact thing. After 3 months long service, you could charge $750 a month as just a maintenance fee, because it's honestly not a lot of work once you have it all set up. It's just pretty intensive for the first about 10 to 15 days, which again, I'm going to get into later in this video. And the next is trial with upfront fee. So this could be if you don't have any of these boxes checked or you have one of them, you should do what I did initially, which is you go to business owners and you say, hey, look, all these other agencies and all these other marketing companies online are telling you that they have, 6-month long agreements, 3-month long agreements. I'm not going to trap you in any of that. I'm just going to go 3 weeks. If you like the service, great. If you don't like it, we can part ways. It'll only be $300 or it's only going to be $500 for these 3 weeks. All right. You're not putting them in 3-month long agreements or any of that. And again, I think it just makes sense because you're going to get clients through the door easier. And if you don't have a lot of these boxes checked, then again, I think that's the route you should go. That's what I did. I stacked a bunch of these clients. I got $300, $500, another $500. I made I think a few $1,000s. And then I pivoted all that money into, I started charging big upfront kind of retainers. And then I went to PIFs. So I kind of went literally up the ladder in that sense here. And then if you fail with trial upfront offer, okay, you get on let's say 5 or 10 sales calls and you pitch this service here, right here, and you don't close any clients, My recommendation to you is simply do pay on result. So this means it's like literally you don't charge any money, you just get experience. And here's the one thing I'll say about this is like, you know, if you book appointments for them, you'll get like $100. Like that can be your offer, pay on results, if you simply cannot close people on this deal here. And what I'll say, and this kind of last point on the pricing, is here's what people get wrong when they start agencies. They think what matters with their first few clients is the money. It's not the money. Okay, I'll tell you that right now. It's not the money. What matters is the experience. The experience trumps absolutely everything. And if I was starting from zero tomorrow and I couldn't sell retainers, PIFs, even trials with upfront costs, I would simply just do pay on result. Okay, I would say, hey, it's no dollars up front. Literally just, I'll get you onboarded. I'll run all your ads. And if we get results, you just pay me. All you have to do is pay the ad costs directly to Facebook. I don't get that. And then you're going to get experience running ads. And then what you can do there is hopefully you get 1 or 2 happy customers, get testimonials for them. Now you can use that as marketing and sales assets for all the future sales calls you have. And then you can start charging this or charging this or charging this. That's the ladder you want to go up. But again, if you already have experience and you already look above 20 and you have experience in your industry, no reason you can't be going out the gate charging this amount. And I say like 5K plus, like I've seen people go out the gate charging 10 grand plus if they have a lot of these boxes checked and they close at a pretty high percent. Okay, all that makes sense. So that should be everything around crafting your offer and pricing. Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully you have no questions with that. Again, if you have any questions with everything I say here, please throw it in the comments below. I always reply to my YouTube comments and so on. Next is the GoHighLevel setup. All right, so I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly, but GoHighLevel is essentially the entire backbone CRM system that every agency owner today uses and you're gonna need, or most agency owners, okay? The reason it's so important is because this is a all-in-one platform that if you wanted to go pay for all the tools that come included with GoHighLevel, it's gonna cost you thousands of dollars a month, all right? And I don't know about you, but I don't wanna pay thousands of dollars a month for some CRM software, all right? So GoHighLevel is the best platform out there 100%. And with watching this video here, you guys will get a 30-day trial link in the description below. All you guys have to do is sign up here. Boom, you can get your 30-day trial. It doesn't charge you $1 even today, and highly recommend it. This website you see here is from my 10-hour free course that people use to sign up with it. I'll have the same link below. I have a 10-hour free huge AI agency course on my YouTube channel, as some of you guys know, and it's extremely in-depth. I cover a ton of stuff in there, and it's really, really important. So all that being said, you guys can sign up with this below in the link in the description. It's about $297 a month, and you get a bunch of bonuses, including the snapshot you're going to get from me. Like I say here, exclusive bonuses and snapshot, which is what I'm going to cover right now. You get all my websites, all my automations, everything's pretty much set up for you. All you have to do is go in and change a few things and you're done. It would normally take you maybe, I don't even know, 40 hours, 50 hours worth of work. With this, it's going to take you probably 3 hours of work, all right, with all the help you have. And you also get monthly calls with me, which is great. Okay, so you can sign up on this page here. If you already use GoHighLevel, you can click this little button right here, already a high-level user, and then you'll upgrade your high-level plan directly to mine, and then you'll get linked in with the system. You'll get all the everything and so on. So that being said, top link will be in the description below. But HighLevel is the best platform to use. So I'm going to quickly give you a rundown of everything you get inside of my snapshot, because the second you sign up on this page, like I said, you're going to get an email directly from me. There's going to be a link that you're going to import into your GoHighLevel account. And that link is going to hold all the assets and resources. But once you log into GoHighLevel, this is kind of what the main page looks like. There are 2 different umbrellas, and I'm going to kind of just explain this CRM and GoHighLevel as quickly as I humanly can. But there's like 2 big kind of key parts of GoHighLevel you need to understand. Number 1 is the agency view. So this is like the umbrella, all right? Because as you close clients and as you onboard clients, you're going to give them sub accounts. Each one of your clients is going to have their own separate sub accounts. This high-level account I'm in right here, this whole account that you're looking at, is kind of like a demo account that I use just for videos like this. But my main GoHighLevel has like over 100 sub accounts because I have a lot of clients in my agency. But that being said, there's the main umbrella, which is the agency view, which is what I'm looking at right here. And then there's sub account views. So as you can see right here, if I click to switch, these right here are sub accounts. Okay. So hopefully that all makes sense. I can click into these here and they all hold their own different websites, automations. It's just to keep things organized. And as you close clients, you're going to have all your clients have their own different sub accounts here as well. So step 1, what I'll say is once you have your high-level account here, you are going to import the snapshot link that I gave you, and then you are going to make your own sub account. So you're going to go right here where it says sub accounts on the left. And then right here on the top right, you're going to click create sub account like so. And then it's going to ask you if you want to import a snapshot, like create a blank sub account, or there'll be like imported snapshots. And then you're going to click on imported snapshots. You're going to click on the one that you imported directly from me, which will be my 2026, free snapshot. that you get directly through my YouTube channel that you've imported, and then it will populate everything inside of your sub account. And once you do that and it's made, you've just given it your address and whatnot, you can quickly click up here, boom, and then head over to that sub account that you created. So this is what it will look like, for example. And then once you are logged into your sub account, you will have everything that I've given you. And to check that, you can have right here all the automations like I have here, boom. So these are all the automations you get directly from me. You're gonna have a bunch of different funnels and websites that took me a bunch of time to build out that are already all templatized for you, okay? Which comes hand in hand, which I'm gonna show you inside this video. Calendars, there's opportunities from sales pipelines. Like if I go right here, there is a bunch of sales pipelines I made for you. So if you go right here, boom, there's all these different ones as you see right here. So it's all super important, okay? Just make sure you use this, make sure you use the snapshot, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through each part. So high level 101, once you're in your sub account, there's a few things you need to do kind of from simple basic standpoint. Number one, we need to set up our websites, okay, and our funnels, because our funnels is where we're gonna direct all of our traffic to of interested clients that we wanna work with. This is gonna go hand in hand directly with how to actually close clients. So what we're gonna do is once you've imported everything, you're gonna go into sites right here, and you're gonna click on this ads funnel that I've given you right here, direct to calendar. All right, and what this is called a funnel. So essentially is right here, boom, I've templatized the entire thing for you here where I've already made the calendar for you and whatnot. And then all you have to do is just change a few things, which is change your niche here at the top. So like real estate agents looking to scale to 10 listings a month or whatever is the goal that you're trying to do within your offer. Implement AI into your business to scale to X amount of dollars a month within X days. Schedule a call with us to learn how we did it. And then this is your calendar right here. Every single person that books with you here is, a client that you're probably going to close or you hope to close, So this is just a way for people to book with you. And then the second part of this funnel, and also I've set up like pop-up stuff. So when people try to put their cursor off, they'll get sent to this right here. So you have all that. And then second is the thank you page, okay? Now this is extremely important. We are going to send traffic of interested people to this page. And I'm going to show you how to do this. This is the key around closing clients that not a lot of people on YouTube talk about. Once they've booked the call with you, you make this page. And to be very clear, this is for your agency. This is not that you're setting this up for your clients. This is I'm talking about for you, okay? And essentially, I've made this page here that you guys have, and you are going to put what's called a pre-call video here. A pre-call video is going to be a 3 to 5 minute video that you film directly like I am here, have it full screen on your camera, and talk about a few things that they need to know before the call with you, all right? And you're going to try to sell them, of course, on this call with the AI agency service I've talked about. So the key point here is you want to say, hey, look, my name is Carson Reed. I'm the founder of XYZ company. And in this video, I'm going to quickly explain to you all the key points and expectation that you need to have before jumping on the call with me and my team. And just to make sure you maximize the time, make sure we're a fit, listen to this video, it's going to be 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm going to quickly jump through the basics. And then you'll go through step one, make sure you're showing up in a quiet environment, you have good Wi-Fi, good connection, you have a pen, notepad, paper ready, no baby screaming in the back, don't be in the car. Just make sure you're a good, quiet, professional environment, because I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions, seeing if we're a fit, and if we are, I'm going to be pulling up my screen share and then showing you exactly what we do in depth with the nuts and bolts of things. Okay, boom, set that expectation. And then the big thing I'd say in the video as well right here that you film and upload is, tell them to make sure they accept the calendar appointment reminder, because once they book a call with you, they're essentially going to get an email directly from you once you set this up properly with a calendar invite. And of course they need to accept that, So that's that. And if you guys want to edit the pages, it's very easy. I know this could look very complex or like, Carson, I have no tech experience. What is this? It's super easy. All right. Like the easiest possible. All right. Like if you had to go change stuff, you literally just go in here and change it, like boom, you could just change it like so, edit it, whatever days, it's very simple. Okay. So that being said, boom. And then you can always preview it as well, like there. Cool. So that's high level. That's how you change things. And then of course with the video as well, you might be wondering, Carson, how do I upload the video or whatever? Once I filmed it, just download it on your computer. You can go right here, and then right here, video type, you can click on hosted video, and then boom, you can just select video, upload it, even a thumbnail if you wanted to. And then again, everyone's going to see this once they've booked a sales call with you. All right. And then below on this page, there's a few things I've made here. Okay. Step 2, make sure to confirm your call by clicking yes. So what you'll do here is you'll just add a quick screenshot of what it looks like on the calendar invitation that automatically gets sent to prospects. I'll kind of show you how that works in a second. And then step 3, again, this is all pre-made for you guys. watch these bite-sized videos on how our mechanism, system works. So you always kind of want to call your service like something pretty easy and fast, right? So like imagine if it was like the listing acquisition system, for real estate agents, or the patient acquisition system if you're trying to work with like medical clinics, right? Call it like a mechanism that sounds super cool. Maybe even involve AI in there in the name so it sounds good. And then here's what are called breakout videos. This is something that a lot of people in the online space do not talk about. And I'm getting technical here because this is the value that might sound boring, but it's extremely important when you try to close deals. So in 2026, the year we're in, there's something called, like a trust indicator. And I think right now, I've heard a lot of people say this, we are in a trust recession. All right. The average peer-to-peer trust is at an all-time low due to how many people are out there just trying to do good for themselves and not good for others. Okay. And they're not actually trying to help you. So because of that, we want to bridge the gap and we want to educate these people that book calls with us and that are interested in our service, all these people in our niche. We want to educate them with what we do. So for example, we have bite-sized videos and breakout videos that talk about how does the program work and what is it that you do to get me more business? Or how much does this thing cost? I've been burned before. How do I know this isn't a scam? All these different things you can say. You make 1 to 2 minute videos here that you upload that are educational content. There's a study out there that it says humans need an average of 8 hours to buy something, to trust and actually make a purchasing decision. They need to consume 8 hours of content on average before they make that decision. So think about that. Think about how much content that really is. Okay, it's a lot. So we want to bridge that gap as much as possible. So we're going to make videos that essentially counter a lot of objections that we would get on the sales call. Okay, so you can make 1 to 2 minute videos on this. And when it says like, how much does it cost? You don't actually have to say your price, your 3 to 5K price or whatever you're charging. Just be like, so look, we charge custom prices. We work we don't work on a cookie cutter basis. We have very custom services to clients of ours, make sure everything is custom fit and we don't have one price fits all. It's all about what you need from us, what you feel like you're struggling with and how we can actually help. And we're going to make a pricing, structure based off that benefits the both of us, something like that, like almost like a little bit of a politician response. You know what I mean? Like, it's where, you don't answer it directly, but you also do answer it, Last part of this page, after they've booked this call, you can add any testimonials that you have or screenshots below. If you don't have any, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world and so on. All right. So that's that. That's pretty much you've booked your entire funnel and your entire website setup, you're done. And then of course you can connect your domain, which is your business name and everything that you can buy actually internally within GoHighLevel. If you click on the settings here and then go down to domains, you'll actually be able to find a place where you can just buy your domain. So let's say your business name was, I don't even know, patientleads.com or, clinicleads.com or realestateagentleads.com, whatever it is, like whatever your business name is, listing AI or whatever, right? Whatever your name is, you can buy the domain inside of GoHighLevel. It's like usually $12 or you can buy it on like platforms like GoDaddy. And you can use ChatGPT or like Claude to make all the logos for you and stuff. Like all that is honestly not needed within this video to cover. Make a business name ideally correlated to what you want or within your industry and whatnot. Cool. That being said, the only other big setup is the automations. So I've crafted a bunch of automations that you guys already get automatically, when using the snapshot. And you're going to get, this is the big one, important one, which is the appointment confirmation reminder. Here, this is for the AI caller. So I've already built out all the AI caller automations that you guys need for all of your clients. This is going to probably look confusing, but trust me, I've spent a lot of time building this out and essentially it's already all set up. All right. I know this looks very confusing. Inside of my free 10-hour course on my YouTube channel, I go very in depth on how this all works, but don't worry about this stuff for now. Honestly, don't worry about building any sort of AI callers and stuff until you actually have clients. All you have to worry about is really just boom, this one and this one. So 10 email nurturing sequence is just people maybe that had a call with you and didn't buy, or they opted in and they wanted to have your service and they just didn't end up buying or whatever reason, they didn't book a call with you. You have just a bunch of nurturing emails. So I've already crafted all of these out. All you have to do is just change them based on your situation. So as you see here, boom, it's already all set up for you like so. Okay. Waits 1 day, boom, email 2, boom, email 3. And you can see it's all already custom headlines and everything like that. So that's already all set up. The big thing is to make sure they actually show up to the call with you. So this is why we have an appointment reminder workflow, which essentially right here is automatically set up to the entire snapshot. So once people book a call with you, a sales call inside of the demo calendar, inside of HighLevel, they essentially get down this entire automation where they get the pre-call email. So that pre-call page, the thank you page we were just looking at, we want to make sure they also get that over email. Okay, so I've already set that all up so it's going to work for you guys. And then they get custom SMS messages. They get pre-call SMS SMS messages, email, SMS, 1 hour before, 10 minutes before, etc. Already all set up and good to go. And this is just to ensure, people show up to your calls and they're notified, right? Like how many times have you booked appointments online and you just forgot about it maybe, just because you didn't have it on your calendar. This makes it impossible for people that book calls with you and potential clients to ever no-show your call. Of course, it's going to happen here and there, but you know what I mean. Okay, and then the last thing is, of course, there's a lot more parts within GoHighLevel that are very just minuscule and small. But, just for the sake of this video, I'm going to kind of just explain the main key important parts. And then if you want way more in-depth stuff, of course, there's a 10-hour, video on my channel. But we have this one calendar here. I just call it the demo calendar. So this is where you have your sales call. And then you can always edit things like here in so you can edit description, calendar name, and then you can even go to staff and location. So of course, this is assigned to me so I can take calls. What you can do is you're going to connect your Zoom account probably. So you just click this option here and then boom, you take your calls on Zoom. Availability, you can customize your availability from when people can actually book calls with you. And what you do as well, which is super important, is you also connect your Google Calendar connection. So if you click on connections right here, you can connect your Google Calendar or Outlook Calendar, Apple Calendar, whatever you use, and it will read and write events. So then if you have like a call at like 1 p.m., it'll be blocked off at 1 p.m. so people can't book with you, So that's your calendar, and that's pretty much all tied together with the site, which is right here, and your booking page and your thank you, okay? Because this is very important because every single interested prospect that you have that wants to book a call with you with your service, you want to have a page that they can go to of course, book this call, okay, and actually speak with you. All right, so that being said, that is pretty much all of GoHighLevel that I wanted to cover because now this goes hand in hand with actually how to close clients, okay? So, of course, if you have any questions on GoHighLevel, feel free to drop a comment in the description below and definitely use this 10-hour free course that's on my YouTube channel. Again, y'all don't got to pay me for this stuff. So I benefit once you guys use this link right here, very transparently in the description. That's how I, benefit from these videos. And then of course, helping you guys as well. Because this is all stuff I wish I knew, just no cuts, no BS, no fluff when I was starting my agency when I was 16 years old. Okay. Now let's jump into actually how do we close clients? So there's 3 main methods you can do out there to close clients. There's paid ads, there's outreach, and then there's organic content. The only other ones I'm not including in here is like if you have like a sphere of influence, right? So referrals, people in person and they're like, they happen to be a real estate agent who's looking for marketing and you're like, hey, you want some help? I can help you. Like friends and network, that's of course, I guess you could say method 4, but that's not predictable, okay? I'm just gonna try to talk about as many like predictable sources that you can build upon as possible. So method 1 is paid ads. Now, paid ads, this might sound confusing, but essentially this is where you run ads for your agency on Facebook and Instagram, and you present your offer on these ads. You can use AI to make these ads, and that is how you close clients. You put in $50 a day, $100 a day, $30 a day, whatever your budget is, and you literally spend money on these platforms to get sales calls from people that get, of course, sent to this page that we just talked about, we just built out, that they book a call with you. You show up to the call and you close the deal, okay? And what's cool about this is exactly what you do for your clients. And full of transparency's sake, this is what I do today. This is actually a screenshot from my own ad account inside of my agency just within the last like 15 to 20 days. I spend a lot of money on ads, of course. I think this right here is about $26,000 or so, $27,000. I'm at the stage where I spend a lot of money on ads, okay? But that is not, you don't have to spend that much. I'm at a very high scale in my agency where I work with a lot of clients and I have a pretty big team. But if you're just starting out, I recommend paid ads 100% to all of you. All right. Now I'm going to talk about when it makes sense to do outreach and organic content, but paid ads, to be very transparent, this is essentially like you are hoping that the money you put into paid ads and advertising is going to work. There's no guarantee around this stuff. You want to have what's called like a budget that you're willing to almost set on fire with these ads that you're going to spend money on to hopefully get that first client or second client or third client. You're essentially going to risk putting your money on fire to get these clients. It's almost like educated gambling a little bit, like if you know what you're doing, which again, if you follow a lot of my content, I would say you're putting yourself in a pretty good situation, then you are putting yourself at a good possibility and chance of closing your first, second, third, however many clients. All right. This is what every big agency does scalability wise. And the reason this is because if I want to go from 2 appointments, 2 sales calls on my calendar or my team's calendar every day to 4 appointments and double it, all I have to do is double my ad spend usually, just by metrics sake. So I just double what I'm giving to Facebook every day and I'll usually get double the amount of appointments or whatever your metrics look like. Of course, things can change and the ads can fatigue, but the money you're going to put here is money you're okay losing. I want to be very clear on that. All right. And I recommend everyone to at least have $1,500 to $2,000 before they start paid ads. And that's money you're willing to put in there. Okay. And if you're sitting here and you're like, Carson, I don't have that amount of money. I don't have $1,500. I don't have $2,000, but I still want to run ads. I want to close clients consistently. And essentially this is where you book sales calls in your sleep. You go to bed and you wake up You get sales calls. No one told me this on YouTube when I started because I think it still is very gate kept. You know, a lot of big agencies don't want you competing with them. But it's just the truth, okay? Like, this is what I have to learn the hard way. I had to try all those 6 months, you know, when I was starting to book sales calls manually. Paid ads is the way to go, 100%. And if you don't have this money, you should get a job. All right, I know that's like the most brute response. And no, I'm not joking when I say that. I worked the golf course. You know, I worked the golf course 15, 16 years old, breaking my back for like $10 an hour, you know? I had to do what I had to do, you know? And I didn't even know this was a method. I didn't even know you could do this stuff. But you can trade essentially your money for time. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe I botched it. But you get my point. You know, like, get a job if you don't have money. And if you're, most of you guys are in a situation where you watch these videos where, you know, you live in a country or whatever where you can get a job and you can go make $1,000, you know, a month or $2,000 a month, you know, just minimum wage. Who cares? You know, I don't care if it's McDonald's. I don't care if it's Dairy Queen. I don't care where you work. Burger King. Doesn't matter. All right. Just get some money, you know, that's the point. And if you're in the very rare situation where maybe you're like very young, okay, you can't get a job still, honestly, I think if you're above the age of 13, you can still do it. I mowed a bunch of lawns. That's how I made money to buy, you know, gaming computers and build computers when I was that age. But if you're like in a third world country, for example, then this is where these other options make sense. Long story short, paid ads I think is the best. And then method number 2 is outreach. So this is where, you know, cold calling, cold DMs, cold emails, Instagram DMs to, let's say you wanted to work with real estate agents, right? You just go look up real estate agents on Instagram, start DMing every single one of them. Same thing with LinkedIn, cold calling people on Google Maps, cold emailing people, you know, like, you just got to scrape a huge list of real estate agents on Google or whatever. There's a bunch of scraping tools to do so, and you send a massive amount of emails. That's method outreach number 2. Is this predictable? No, not really. And it's very time consuming, you know, because you do 100 cold calls every single day. Like, it can get very mentally exhausting. And to be honest, this is why most people quit online business, full straight up, because it's hard. You have to be very, very, very consistent here. Okay. So outreach, in my opinion, I'm not a fan of it. Again, for the rare situation where you are either very, very young, you can't make money, or you're in a third world country or whatnot, this is where outreach makes sense. But the key here is you have to be very consistent and you have to set yourself daily KPIs. What I mean by that is you have to set yourself daily like targets that you have to hit, like 100 cold calls a day, 200 cold calls a day, and you literally do not miss a day, because volume is going to negate luck. That's the fact here. Outreach is all about volume, and with enough volume, it negates all the luck of getting one, you know, lucky DM from someone saying yes, right? Method number 3, no one talks about this, but it's extremely powerful, which is organic content. Organic content is something you should do regardless if you do paid ads or you do outreach, okay? By the way, I don't recommend you do both paid ads and outreach. I'd recommend you do paid ads and organic content, or outreach and organic content. Organic content goes hand in hand with both of these very well. And what this is essentially it's just posting YouTube videos like this, but targeting the industry you're gonna go after. And I'm gonna talk about the best ways to do these 3 in just a second. But long story short, this is where you post reels, YouTube videos, targeting the industry you're going to go after. So like, for example, you know, your YouTube title could be how real estate agents are leveraging AI in 2026 to get more listings. That's your video title. You make a thumbnail and you make an entire video. It could even be on a chart just like this, where you break down some sort of concept using AI callers, everything I've told you guys here. And then eventually a video only needs 30, 50, 100 views, even though it doesn't sound like a lot, of the right people for you to get a buyer. Okay, I've seen people in the agency space post a video to solar guys that gets 120 views and they make 18 grand from it. I have case studies on my channel of people who I mentor who they've actually had that happen, you know? And you don't have to spend any money for organic content, right? That's the great part. This is all free. You know, reels, you post reels on Instagram, free. But the key here is also being very consistent. And this is a very slow going process, okay? I had like under 2,000 subscribers for almost 2 years on this YouTube channel. You know, like, it's a very long process to grow an organic content, but once you do, it's a snowball. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So that's the kind of the third method there. And the reason I'll say, last point here, just some high level agency knowledge. The reason this is important to post on here is because it supplements these very well with nurturing. So let's say people book calls with you from outreach or paid ads. What you can do is on your all of your automations, right? I was just talking about over here, and all of your emails, on your appointment reminders and everything, your 24-hour reminder, you can include a little YouTube video link that you filmed in there. And then eventually these people are going to go to your YouTube before on the call with you, and they're going to watch your content, and they're going to get, you know, consumption, they're going to get educated, and they're going to gain trust. That's the goal. Okay. That's the 3 methods. Number 1, paid ads. All right. I'm just going to give you the full rundown of paid ads and how kind of what you should be doing on it. For the sake of time in this video, I'm not going to be going into my ads manager and going in depth in it. I just think it's going to take way too long. Again, I have a huge 10-hour video on this channel for that reason specifically, but you can look at the kind of paid ads list 101 here of everything you need to do. So number one, budgeting for paid ads. Okay. I recommend you, like I said, set aside $1,500 to $2,000. Okay. Different industries are more expensive than others, but that's like the rough average I can give you, that usually if you spend that amount and you do kind of follow all the basics I tell you to do, and you follow the kind of the, I guess you could say best practices, you'll probably close a client. Like you'll probably, or you'll get enough sales calls to at least get some experience, you know? Okay. And again, it's money you're willing to lose. I want to be very clear saying that, you know, there's no guarantees on that. Number two is setting up Facebook personal account. So you need to set up a Facebook personal account to get your business account. So once you have a personal account, you can create what's called a Facebook business portfolio. Okay. So you can look all this stuff up on YouTube. Again, I walk through this stuff step by step, my 10-hour free course. But you essentially need to create a business portfolio. Once you have this created, you can create what's called an ad account. You can create also a business/agency page. So it could be your name or your business name, you know, with your logo and whatnot. And that's going to be the page you run ads off of, and you run everything inside of what's called your ad account. Now, if you're sitting here and you're like, Carson, Facebook ads, all this stuff seems super complex. I used to think so too back in the day. It's actually not that complex. It's really not. It just sounds very complex. Like that's like the best way I could put it is it seems like it's very, very challenging, but honestly, it's not. Okay. They've made it so easy now with AI to set things up, and they've just made the whole process a lot easier. You know, like it's literally an hour or two learning curve. Once you get it down, it's pretty light work from there. Okay. And I have a lot of trainings on my channel about that. Next is going to create video, image ads, and copy with AI. So I'll give you guys some quick tools on what to do for that. Number one, Arc Ads. Well, you guys can look this up. Arc Ads is the best place for video ads, hands down, on you know, all video ads that you're gonna make. All you have to do is essentially go to this website, you can click on here, and you can essentially make human looking AI ads and actors with just a prompt. And this prompt, you just ask ChatGPT or Claude AI, or even tools like Manus, which is really good. If you guys look up Manus AI, extremely good. I use it a ton. You just give it to it and you say, hey, make a 30 to 45 second ad script. Me helping real estate agents, here's my offer. I guarantee 10 listing appointments in 90 days, or they don't pay, using an AI system of mine. They just need to click learn more to book a call below. You essentially give it that prompt, and you can choose whatever actors you want, and you can make like 5 video ads with less than like $30 of credits, and it will usually, like, it actually performs really well, at least from my data. So, you know, it's going to be different, of course, testing based on the person, the situation, the script, but we see it crushes really well. Next, for image ads, there's a platform called Ideogram. Okay. So Ideogram. So IDEOGRAM. You guys can look this up. It's extremely good as well. You get, I think, 20 free ad credits, and all you have to do is same thing. You just give it a prompt, and it makes some really good image ads. And for context, a lot of the ads I run in my own agency, a lot of this ad spend you see here, almost all of this was with Ideogram and Arc ads. Pretty much all of it. Okay, I had my team film some video ads as well, but all of this is from this as well. I might do a whole paid ads masterclass on this YouTube channel if you guys want, but really, really, really good stuff. And that's what I use. Okay, I use Arc ads, I use Ideogram, and then you can just, of course, make the copy with Claude. Okay, or there's like Perplexity or other tools out there as well. Next is optimized landing page for high conversion. So this is the landing page funnel. We already made that right down here. Boom, direct to calendar. We just want to send all of our traffic from the ads that we set up directly to a page just like this, where clients can book a call with us. Boom, you know, they select a time, whatever, they put in their information, and then they get directed right to this thank you pre-call video right here. Okay, we already went through that. Next is going to be setting up a pixel within landing page. So what a Facebook pixel is, and I know that probably sounds like absolute gibberish or like a third language if you have not heard of what a Facebook pixel is. But essentially, since you're sending traffic and you're sending people from your ads, ideally whatever people in your niche you're running ads to a page that you own, it's not within the Facebook or Meta Instagram platform. So they can't track if someone actually booked a call with you or not. And you got to remember, Facebook is a data platform. The more data you give it, the better results ideally you're going to get, because they have more data to work with. They know who to target, right? You get 10 real estate agents to opt into your funnel, and Facebook knows you're going after real estate agents. And their algorithm is so good with AI that it will know to target the right people, you know? But the way you do that is you have to add a piece of code on these pages, so then you can quantify that these are actually, like, these people that are going to this page are actually booking a call with you, and they're qualified. And the only way you can do that is by adding a little piece of code that Facebook gives you and adding it within the tracking code, header tracking code inside of your landing page inside of GoHighLevel. Okay. And again, I have a 10-hour course that explains this in depth. Just not going to go through it here. Ads Manager 101. All right. It's kind of in that video as well. 10-hour course as well. You guys can go through that. And then you set up ads, launch them, and then you of course have to monitor the ads after launch. All right. That's kind of like paid ads 101, method 1. And yeah, that's kind of like everything I'd say here. And then I guess the only other tool I would say for image ads, like I was saying, is Ideogram. Cool. So that's kind of how you can understand when you create ads. Here are some image ads. The big difference between running image ads and video ads, just for some quick context, is you will get higher volume of leads with lower intent with image ads, and then video ads is lower volume with higher intent. Okay. And then you can use Manus, ChatGPT, Claude for ad copy. And then your offer, you want to obviously be very clear on your ad of what your offer is to whatever niche you're going after. So this would be like, we will get you 10 listing appointments within 90 days using our AI system, or you don't pay. For example, right? That's like an offer. That's a marketing offer for what you do. And that just changes based on the industry. Like every industry is going to have their own, I guess, different like guarantees or offers or whatever you're throwing up on the ad. But that's just to make people opt in. Like if you had to say in one sentence, and I always say this to people in my mentoring group, which will be in the top link of the description below. I always say to them, I'm like, hey, look, tell me your one sentence offer explanation. And they'll tell me it real quick. And I'll tell you, yeah, that makes sense, or no, that's not good, Next, budgeting for ads. I recommend you guys spend no less than $30 a day, and I recommend you don't spend higher than $200 a day. If you have no experience, this is what I would stay within. All right, if you have a huge budget, you can spend $200 a day. You're probably going to book a lot of appointments on your calendar and sales calls, which is great, but just make sure you don't go overboard. You don't want to lose a bunch of money recklessly. And then also, lowest ad spend, if you're under $30 a day, I don't think you're going to see results fast enough to even give it a shot. Like either spend more or like get a job, and so you can spend more is essentially what I'm saying. So that's like the guidelines I'd go around. Okay. Now let's talk about method number 2, which is outreach. And I'm not going to spend much time on this method here because I simply don't do outreach in my agency today. I exclusively do paid ads and content. So it doesn't make sense for me to talk about something I don't currently do. But to be fair, outreach was how I got to my first, I think I was making like $2,000-$3,000 a month. You can fact check me on my YouTube channel, but I believe that is what I did because my whole entire journey is documented, so you guys can see this stuff. But method number 2, outreach. So this is, again, you do cold calls, DMs, cold emails, etc. If I was starting today, I would do cold emails, and I'd use a tool called Instantly AI. You guys can look this up. It warms up a bunch of Gmails for you, or emails that you can send emails off of. You can import huge lists of leads that you have of emails from potential people in your niche, whatever you scrape online. And then you, of course, can send out different emails just in like a bulk setting inside of Instantly, and it usually has pretty good deliverability rates. But that being said, outreach, you have to set yourself a minimum daily KPI, and you have to really, really, really go at it and try. Method number 3, which is organic content. So I'll kind of give you guys some, I guess, elite level knowledge when it comes to content that I've learned through paying tens of thousands of dollars to mentors of mine. And this is extremely applicable on Instagram and also on YouTube if you make content to your industry and your niche. You're going to download a free tool, an extension called vidIQ. All right, this is extremely popular for YouTube. You're going to download this, and what's going to happen is it's a free extension that goes in your browser, and it's going to start telling you on YouTube what's called an outlier score. You guys see this little 2x? So it shows me this little outlier score. Anything that's above a 3x outlier, so you want to look up videos of people in your industry. So if you go after real estate agents, try to look up other real estate, like go look up things that real estate agents are watching, okay? Or whatever your target audience is watching. And essentially you want to look for things that have over a 3x outlier. Anything over 3x means it's performing 3 times better than it usually does on its channel, like performance-wise. And meaning this thumbnail, this topic, everything was an outperformer. And what you're going to do is you're going to actually essentially not copy word for word, but you're going to take inspiration from that, and you're going to make a very similar video or variation on YouTube targeting exactly who you want to target. So for example, this is the same thing on Instagram. Instagram, this is how the algorithm works, is if you find a winning video that's within your industry and you make a version of it that's very similar on your channel or on your Instagram account, whatever, it's usually going to perform. vidIQ, I think, is only as a YouTube tool, but you can go on Instagram and you'll see outliers. You'll know, if you do enough research into your industry, and that's what's going to give you video ideas. Okay. So that's kind of the method around organic content. But all this being said, again, my number 1 method is definitely paid ads, just because I do it a lot today. It's just the most scalable thing. If you want 10 calls tomorrow, if you want 20 calls tomorrow, you know what it costs every single day to get that. And then you know your close rate, your show rate, all your sales stats to where you can predictably scale. Outreach and organic content, it's a lot more hit or miss. It's definitely not as consistent, but regardless, I would say they're obviously still pretty decent, or more so organic content. I'm kind of biased towards outreach, but if you're in the situation where you just can't get by, you can't, get any money, then of course outreach is the move. All right. Next, how do we close sales calls? Okay. This is like once you've jumped on the sales call, they booked the call with you on this page, you show up to the call, they've gotten all the appointment reminders, they've watched some of your videos, or they've watched your pre-call video and your breakout videos. What comes next? All right. So this is exactly pretty much what we show in all of our sales calls. This is our sale. Like, we don't use a slide by slide presentation. Okay. I used to do that like a year and a half ago or so in my agency. I have salespeople now, so I'm not the one taking the sales calls. But what my closer, whose name's Jacob on my on my agency, what he shows today is something exactly like this. You just pull up on lucid.app is the whole app I'm using right now for context, and you just show like the 3-pillar system where you have lead generation, appointment setting, and sales. And essentially, this is your deliverables. So there's kind of a framework you want to follow on sales calls. So initially, you're going to go through what's called a discovery. Okay, what a discovery is where you ask your client or whatever, you ask your prospect, they're not a client yet, a bunch of questions. And this discovery should be at least 50% of the call, ideally, okay? Because the whole point is once you jump on the Zoom call with them or whatever, you need to go through all the pain points that they have, okay? Different people are going to have different pain points, and you want to figure out what's going right in their business, what's going wrong, etc. And approach this with their best interest in mind, or your best, like, you don't want to show up on calls and almost have like what's called like a commission breath. You don't want to show up to calls and look all greedy and like you just sound like you're very money hungry and you don't care about them. Show up to the call with literally good intentions around, I'm jumping on this call to help this person, okay? Because they're in need or they're struggling, whatever. And that is what's extremely important, okay? Like very, very, very important, because that'll change the entire, like almost like temperature and vibe of the call. And the first however long, maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes of the call, you're just asking them questions. All right, like, what are you currently doing for marketing? What's going well for you right now? What's going wrong? Give me the pros and cons. What do you feel like you're struggling with at the moment? And you can start the call off with like, hey, John, look, super excited to meet you here today. I want to spend the first, 15, 20, 30 minutes of today's call just really learning more about you and your business and seeing exactly if I can even help you. Like, I don't want to jump up in my presentation right now and it just be completely not applicable. So I want to learn a little bit more about you, see if I can help. And if I can, I'll kind of pull up my screen. I'll show you what I have to offer, and I'll go into the nuts and bolts of things if it's going to help you. Sound good? Boom. That's the framing, okay? And we literally show this right here. Like, I actually pulled up this video right here, but you can see this is on my YouTube channel. And this is a live sales call from about 3 weeks ago, okay, on my channel. And you can see this is my closer, Jacob. This was closing a stem cell clinic client for $15,000 up front. And of course, like the whole call is here as well. But you can see this is actually what he showed on the sales call. It's like the exact same process. Of course, this has changed to what we do in my agency, which might be a little bit different than you because obviously we're just at a different level, but I show a bunch of sales calls, and that's like, this is exactly what I show them. Pretty much this right here. And also when you guys import my snapshot and you guys go to sites and you import it and you go to websites here, you're going to click on Carson's resources, docs, and links. Once you click in here, you get a bunch of resources I give you that are very exclusive, including sales masterclasses, sales calls, a bunch of things that I don't really show publicly at all here on this YouTube channel, and usually is reserved for people inside of my mentorship, which again is going to be in the top link in the description below where you can book a call for, right? But that being said, I have a bunch of sales call recordings and everything in here that I very highly recommend you leverage and use. And of course, I also have a bunch of stuff on this channel here. And if you go on my YouTube as well, I posted this video about 11 days ago from when I'm filming this right now. I showed the entire process of in an agency that I started. This would have been late last year, so about 5-6 months ago. We went from $0 to $60,000 in the agency with only about 4 or 5 weeks. And I showed the entire process live, from setting everything up to the landing pages, to the sales calls, to closing the deals, the payment notifications, the sales calls on the GoHighLevel calendar. Okay, here's the sales receipt, $5,000 client we closed, to the sales calls on the calendar, boom, close client. Everything's here. Here's another deal, I think. Yep, another $10,000 deal. The whole point is like, I might be biased when I say this, but I have the most proof online in the entire agency space, and no one comes even close to showing as much value and proof as I do. So please leverage it. Like there's a ton of stuff I give you out here. All right. But this is what your sales calls can look like. Once you close them, it leads me into my last part, which is actually how to fulfill on your service. It's extremely important you set correct expectations. So you collect payment on the call. The next thing you need to do is book an onboarding call within literally 24 hours to 48 hours max of that call. Because the longer people have to go think about things, or maybe be like, oh, did I make the right decision? Whatever, it can lead to cold feet. Okay. That leads me to actually how to fulfill on your service for your AI agency. Now I'm going to go very shortly in here just because this video is getting a little bit long, but the whole point is there's kind of an order of operations I go through, but you're going to take the first client closed to onboarding call within the first 24 hours ideally, okay? Again, the reason you do this is to close the gap between getting that payment and them getting cold feet. You want to get them onboarded and set up or whatever as soon as humanly possible. I use Slack for all of our client communication. You guys can honestly just use GoHighLevel if you want, or like WhatsApp or like text, or even I know some people use email. I don't think email is the best, but we personally use Slack just with a lot of the high-end medical clinics that I work with in my agency. and it works well for us. I'm not saying you have to use Slack if you work with like, I don't know, HVAC business owners, like they might just not want to use that. And then the timeline is in the first 48 hours, you have that onboarding and kickoff call. Okay. So, I kind of mixed what I was saying here, but like the first 24 hours is you're going to send them through an onboarding funnel that they have to go through before you have this onboarding / kickoff call. Like I was saying, within the first 24 hours. And I already actually made this for you here. So if you go to funnels and you go to client onboarding, when you import the snapshot, you essentially have a bunch of different steps around expectation and everything. Around step 2, which would be like connecting your Facebook business manager, right? Step 3, CRM overview. So you give them a rundown of GoHighLevel in like a 10-minute quick video that you put right here. Okay, this is something you send to them right as they get closed so they get expectations. And here's what's great about this. I kind of skipped over this part. But step 1, you're going to put a video here around expectations. Step 2 is you're going to talk to them about how they can connect their Facebook to you automatically. All right. And the reason this is good is because now, before the onboarding call even happens, the kickoff call happens, they've already given you access to everything you need. So on the onboarding call, you can spend time really going through all the marketing material you need from them. And Facebook Business Manager, you have to just make like a 10-15 minute video on how to connect this stuff. Again, this is all very, very in-depth, detailed in my 10-hour course. Step 3, CRM overview. Step 4, you're going to have an intake form. And then step 5 is like next steps. This is all things you want from them to complete. They're going to complete this entire process before they show up to that call with you, this onboarding call. Okay. And then the pretty much days 7 through day 14, after you've had this onboarding call, you're going to build and prepare everything. And so this is going to be the ads, the AI caller, etc. It actually really doesn't take 7 days even to do this stuff. The reason you want to give yourself some buffer time is specifically with a lot of clients in my agency right now, we've dealt with this issue, which is something within GoHighLevel that you need approved, which is called A2P verification when you want to buy phone numbers for your clients. And it's been an absolute headache for us. And it's taken us weeks to actually like get approved for some clients. And it's just not ideal. Okay. So that being said, like it could be a lot faster than this, but you want to just give yourself some kind of buffer room. And then you're going to schedule, once you have everything ready and it's all done, you're going to have a launch call, which is essentially where you have another call with them, showing them everything you've built for them in their ads manager, all the ads, all the marketing material, everything that you've kind of got set up. And then you're going to be like, are we ready to launch? Yep. Cool. Good. Bum. Done. And essentially, you just get them results from days 14 to day 90. If you run a 90-day long service, really your 90-day long service doesn't start until the launch day. But we at our agency, we do bi-weekly check-in calls with every single client, literally just every month. So we do 2 calls a month with them to check in after they're launched. You can follow this framework. This is what we do. And obviously, I run a pretty high-level agency where we work with a lot of clients, and this stuff works well. Of course, I'm not on these calls. I don't do a lot of this stuff. I have a sales team. I have client success managers, media buyers, AI developers, but I'm also at a stage where I can do that. And I highly recommend, kind of like a big last key point as well, don't get overexcited on hiring people when you don't need to yet. Okay. A lot of people get stuck in that trap. There's a saying, you want to scale to hire, not hire to scale. What that means is you want to scale your business up to the point where you actually have to hire. You don't want to go hire people so then you can scale, because that's where a lot of businesses get stuck and they go red on payroll because they just couldn't afford it because they structure their business wrong. So if you write something down, scale to hire, not hiring to scale. Okay. Very, very important. But that being said, guys, that is the entire process on how I would start an AI agency completely today in 2026. And I think the simplest way to do it, I know it was like very, very in depth, but I think this is what matters, right? I think a lot of people give you a lot of fluff online and on YouTube, and really at the end of the day, it doesn't actually help. You want the full in-depth resource. And again, like I said, there's a 10-hour video on my channel for this stuff, which is extremely important. But that being said, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys want more help directly one-on-one from me, and if you want like a one-on-one mentorship type of thing to actually start or scale your agency, whether you're already doing big numbers, you already have a lot of clients, or you're just starting out, there'll be a top link in the description below where you can directly apply for a mentorship application call directly with me. Okay. This is not like you're going to be talking to some coach who's never ran this business before. Like, I actively help people with this stuff just because I wasted so much time and so much money on things that quite frankly never worked when I was going up my career in the agency journey. So that being said, you can book a call for that below. Comment any parts of this video you actually liked. I reply to all my comments on YouTube, as you guys know, for you guys that watch my stuff, and a lot more resources on there as well. So like, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys inside the next video. Peace.